I was once a voivode and warrior. Well, look at that.
And you remember that too, you remember?
In regression, yes, you go into regression and you see a lot of things, interesting things. Actually, I had started taking drugs. And nobody knew and nobody found out. We forget a lot of things sometimes while we're busy or at work or in the things we do. We just forget where we were going and what we're doing. At one point you wake up and see this, what am I doing? Whoever sees it will understand that actually there is a way out.
Now, because of that line of yours, it might happen that someone says, hey.
And actually, we really need to be honest what happened. There isn't any, and I decided to show how we should be honest.
This is an example of how you actually get out of your blocks. Yes, to glitch your brain to get out of it, because you just enter a flow where there is no logic.
There isn't any. And now let's make the connection.
Yes.
There were two, you see, girls from this manifestation project.
This manifestation.
So 2 boys as well from the manifestation with others with the group. And now what faces do I have? 2 girls and 2 boys.
I'm not very happy. Because we have a guest, a friend of ours, who is actually a merchant in his everyday life. Just an ordinary person, a father of 4 children, as he asked me to introduce him, but for the sake of a proper and official introduction. He is someone who is inclined to seek the unconventional, the non-traditional, and to keep striving for it. Despite all the things that have happened to him along the way, which are quite a lot for someone his age. Welcome, my friend Dancho, wishing you health and thank you for coming. People don't know, but actually you are the first one to come, even though they don't watch the episodes in order. I wanted to thank you, that's what I want to start with, because we're a bit of a strange breed here, we do things a bit differently.
But still strange.
Well, no, I'm saying we're a bit quirky. We get an idea, we throw it out there and start doing it. That's the idea behind the 2nd season of Reality Explorers. We made some really good episodes in the 1st season, but our wish with Valia was to continue with the 2nd season. With those people who are ready to stand up, just to show everyone that we're just normal people. We were just talking a moment ago, and now we're simply continuing the conversation for the sake of formality. We're just using the equipment and all that because that's what we do, but we're having a really nice conversation about life, about successes, about failures, about how important it is to learn how to lose. You can tell us what you've been through to become the person you are today. A proud father of 4 children, I can say that on your behalf. And a person who has made quite a few efforts and steps on the path to self-awareness, which is actually how we're introducing you.
I've been through a lot of things. So how to start, maybe the moment when I changed, you know who was responsible for that? One of the main reasons was you.
But, okay, now, the way you put it, he has invited them here, he has invited you there.
We agreed outside to say this. Yes, no, I see why you're saying it, but why am I telling you this? Because it's true. Well, you know, to me, in my life, it showed me and made me believe that we have to be honest, we shouldn't lie. And I'm telling you this with my hand on my heart. You really were the person who... Well, I wouldn't say it was only you. One of the reasons was you, but that first video of yours about time. When someone watches it, he really realizes that we don't have time and that everything we do matters. And we have to enjoy it with... Man, we just have to enjoy it. We really have to enjoy it. Look at it from every angle and really be honest. honestly.
Can honesty be learned?
Maybe when at times you are not honest, and that brings you some pain and disappointment and regret that you weren't honest, then you learn to be honest. Some people maybe are born to be honest, but even they at some point in their lives maybe have strayed. Of course, yes, we should be honest. 2, 3. 2 or 3, is that okay? One was you, the other, but wait a minute.
Let me stop you there. What happened? What do you mean by saying I want to start with my own transformation? You, what? Your life was great. Why did something have to change again?
Okay, it wasn't great. Why? And that's why things had to change for me. Life had turned me around at one point, and I started doing what I'm doing now. And actually, just before the beginning, let's say, I was heading down a not so good path, full of some temptations that a person gives into. Yes.
Just to add, for the people, you work in the distribution of nuts, that's right, so people don't wonder what it is.
With which you are involved. Before that, I worked for another company, and then I began to head down the wrong path. As I told you, to be tempted, to give in to the temptations that life offers. And at one point, you get so caught up, you start doing all kinds of stupid things.
Like what, for example?
You even start doing things that aren't legal. Let's put it that way, yeah. And you think, well, if I don't do it, someone else will, so why shouldn't I do it myself? But later on, when life slaps you in the face, then slaps you again when it hits you. And you start thinking, if you really think about it, you'll realize that this isn't right and you need to make some kind of change. You see how things are. How you might end up a wreck, maybe. I've seen people around me who ruin their lives. Just as they're at the top, in a moment they go, hit rock bottom, and even lower, they start digging their own grave.
And for you, what was it? What was the thing that got you out of that? I mean, if you can be a bit more specific, from the point of view that we've all done stupid things, some of us a bit more than others not so much. But in the end, the outcome, the result, and what happens, what is it, what's the conclusion from the whole thing? Okay, that it happened to you, that you went through it, now you're here.
Now I'm here, and well, I met AM with your materials. Okay, I've also met our friends from Kogitalnost. I've met with another organization as well. And you have to start searching. And at some point you start taking a little piece from here, a little piece from there, one piece, then 2 pieces, then 3 pieces, and slowly, things start to fall into place. You start to see, and the other possibility, that actually you can be a better person. But compared to whom? Compared to yourself and compared to your loved ones?
How can you be a better person? How, in what different way, how do you see it? What is your current point of view? If back then Dancho was a different person, what is different now? This thing? In terms of awareness, right? Because it's something we all share, your path is your own. But the principle, the conclusion, which is that we all share many lives, many worlds, the principles are the same.
Yes. Now you made him think when we were at that seminar, at the end of the seminar, we were doing a regression, and in one life I was in water. Just imagine. And you say,
You remember it?
you remember it in regression. Yes. You go into regression and you see many interesting things.
Super.
I see myself as a voivode. I'm walking through a forest like that, and we're coming back with my band, with my group. We're coming back from a battle, so to speak. None of us got hurt, and we enter a village. In the village, people recognize us. It was clearly our village. We sit down at a cafe, we drink coffee. And all this is happening. But I was like, look who I am again, like that. I was acting important, trying to be interesting. And by the way, to some extent, even in our current situation, yes, at some point in my life, I was something like that, something similar. With this trait of pretending to be someone I'm not. We're having coffee, the whole group gets up and we head out. We have you. In the center of the village, some ancient guy shows up like this. A little man with a mustache and a fez. And since I was known for acting like, look at me, I'm me, actually they set a trap for us to wipe out our whole group. But what do I see? Then the little man comes and I start picking a fight with him. And at one point, bam, a flash of light, and I say, what happened here? And I call out to Evo, I say, Evo. Then the aliens took him and he just laughed and laughed. No man, the aliens didn't take me. Now you go back inside and see the light again and you think the aliens took you. Why? Because you don't want to see what happened to you, what they did to you. Really? They jump out from behind EM. To a group, yes, and with the guns, bam, 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 they shoot everyone. And there I leave 2 orphan boys, yes. The next incarnation, the next regression, at another seminar. We're driving in a car, I turn around, and on the back seat there are 2 twin girls, beautiful, with blue flowered dresses. It's good that since I'm not paying attention to driving, and there's an accident and they survive. Yeah, but not. Now let's make the connection. There were 2 twins, girls from this manifestation, and 2 boys from the manifestation with Darzavo and water, with Darzavinata. And now what do I have now? 2 girls and 2 boys. Ha 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 ha.
And wait a minute now, what does this whole thing tell you? Because right now you're just laying it all out on the table. First regression, second regression, this and that here first.
Not my others.
Yes.
What does this whole thing tell me?
What does this mean to you? Because first, what awareness do you have in this regression? I mean, do you know that this is you? How do you understand it so that you can... Yes, because I feel both strength and pain in you. And responsibility which can't be absent if you're not connected to these experiences. Because if you say this is nonsense, or I saw some things there and some things happened to me, just to feel it, to drink beer, right? In front of you is a feeling. You have it as if you really were that person.
Of course it was you. You feel it. When it lies inside, you feel it, even if. You ask, even if. You want to understand who the other one was, that is. Who your wife was, or then who was, yes, someone from your group. Can you figure it out?
How could I?
You just feel it, you just sense it, you just know it, or you don't know it. How can I explain it?
I don't know. The way you see it, you just know it.
You just know it. Okay, someone might say, that's just fantasy. They're just talking nonsense now because he dreamed something. He's just talking about his dream. But she exists. That's how a person can understand, only if they try. People know, they have the materials you've given them, they close their eyes and try, and it works.
And it works.
And to understand. And now there's someone who says, but it won't work for me. It works. With enough practice, everything works out.
You said that even people who made mistakes in the past now succeed when they try new things. Where does this curiosity come from, this passion for wanting to know more, to change at such an age, to explore? Because these are new concepts. From one point of view, you're approaching them in a new way, concepts that are only now emerging for us as part of our development and evolution. Come on, write about us, we're involved in this, but someone like you, who practically hasn't had such contact or hasn't had it before. And suddenly, though, he's interested and he keeps going, reading, searching, watching, shows up, does regressions and so on. Where does all of this come from, you know?
Recently, not too long ago, I met someone I hadn't seen in a long time, and he told me, you've changed a lot, you're not the same as before. Because he knows me in a different light, yes, and he can't believe that this is me, but still, why did I change? Maybe because the planet is changing too, that the planet's frequencies are different now. They predispose you, and maybe because things need to change. A certain number of people have to change, and those who can really do it. Actually, anyone can. But I have chosen it.
That's what it is, the power to choose it, the strength to choose it. Because it's really like I do, and people know, you know, and now you're kind of smirking, but a choice is a choice.
Very important.
An underrated moment, as if because we have it, we make it. We are where we are because of our choices. And yet at times we tend to make excuses by blaming others. Or yes, as you said when we were talking earlier, sometimes people tend to blame everything on the environment, to blame it for something we don't want to see. And that's why we put on glasses, we put on masks, we put on big, small glasses, little windows, different ones through which we slow ourselves down. This time to open our eyes to see something that has been there all along, right in front of us.
Choice is very important, and if we don't make that choice, we live in the same way. Things sometimes get better, sometimes get worse. Why? Because we don't have a solution, because we haven't made a decision, because we haven't made a choice for what. Everyone can understand it in a different way, meaning everyone can understand it not for themselves, but through their own perspective, the way they see it.
At its core, what do you think this choice should be, in your opinion, the main choice of humanity?
The main choice of humanity, whether it will move to the parallel reality, where Earth is a wonderful and peaceful place, where there are no wars, where there is no murders, where peace reigns. The other choice can lead them to the other parallel reality, which will take them to destruction, to wars.
And how do you think this choice is made? Yes, it's individual for everyone. Yes, everyone has their own life, but how does this happen, in your opinion? How is such a choice made? Who wants to take on such responsibility?
If you ask, nobody wants to take responsibility for the planet being destroyed, right? Who would want to travel? Nobody.
But yes.
But people do it unconsciously because they stay in low vibrations and because they keep doing things the old way. They just go with the flow?
The question is for how long, because at some point the current will wear you out if you just go with the flow.
It wears you out. In the end, there's a crash and you have to start all over again.
Again from the beginning?
Again from the start. The other one is a raincoat in another place with other people. Who was I now? Why am I here? What are we going to do?
Let me do it. Alright, at the beginning, when you met everyone actually, when did you first encounter all these concepts? I mean, I'm saying this from the viewer's perspective, who thinks that the two of us are just having a normal, ordinary conversation, doing a wonderful job together, and in the end, everything is going as usual. The question is, where did it come from for you? How did this whole thing start? When were your first encounters with the unknown, with the unconventional, with the idea that something like regression exists and is valid in every sense? You lie down and you also go into it with almost no training.
2017, 2018. Back then, when I decided to be myself, sometime between those dates, I should have given you pictures so you could see how much I weighed. I was 20 kilos heavier than I am now, 20 kilos more, with a shaved head, and that's how I looked.
I wouldn't believe it even if I saw it.
I'll show it to you first. And then in 2018, maybe the end of 2017, I didn't even remember it. As for the time, let's say it was around then. I came across one. Then I search. I keep searching. It's like some kind of urge. You can't stop it. You start searching.
But the thing is, the question is not to stop, not to give up while you're searching, while you're struggling like that. A more stable foundation, you know, because at first it's like, yeah, wow, this is really interesting, but is it really that much, you know?
Okay, now I remember exactly one situation. Okay, one. A friend, I can say, had made a video, very interesting, with a challenge. Every morning you wake up at 5 o'clock, you take a cold shower. And I had to do this every morning at 5 o'clock, but I combined it with what? Every morning at 5 o'clock, I get up, I put on my headphones, play some good music, make myself a coffee. While the coffee is brewing, I start working out. When the coffee is ready, I leave it on the table, wait for it to cool down, finish my workout, then I drink my coffee slowly and read a book. And before that, as a student, I hadn't read a single lesson, and believe it or not, I never read an entire lesson. I didn't have the assigned summer books and never opened them.
That's easy for you to say, and just open your book.
Give your book today on the 10th. The training, you open it, somehow the book starts, and Diniti started somehow differently. At that time, I hadn't started doing meditations yet, but I've commented on it, and that too with meditations at a later stage. And then somehow it just happens automatically. You start paying attention to what you eat, you say, oh, there's something here, maybe I should cut down on this a bit, let's reduce it. And since I worked in stores all the time, I was always surrounded by croissants, snacks and baked goods, so everything was quick and rushed.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, yeah.
But it's convenient. You grab it, open it, eat it, start the van and keep working. But those kilos start piling up, and with all of this, it becomes like an automatic process, you know, waking up, working out, reading. Then you start to feel isolated.
But you created it, this automatic process, because before it wasn't yours.
It's not.
We create automatic processes ourselves.
We choose first, we have to make the choice.
Okay.
We make the choice and we say, tomorrow morning I get up at 5 o'clock and start. Yes, but at first it's hard for you. First you oversleep and think, I'll get up now. No. And you tap the phone with your nose like, okay, in a bit I'll get up again. Then it gets late, you have no time, and it's time for work. But directly, you know, there have been such moments, there's no way around it. You know, if someone says they did it all at once, they wouldn't be honest, they'd be lying. Then you start paying attention to what you eat, what you clean, what you watch. Yeah, exactly.
Who you celebrate it with?
Who you celebrate it with? What exactly are you celebrating after all? Your TV breaks down and you say, well, I'm not going to fix it. Oh well, TV, to hell with it. There won't be any television. People come over to my house. I quit drinking, by the way. I quit drinking. People come over to my house to turn on the TV, but it doesn't work. And they're like, how come it doesn't work? So he comes after 7 days or after a month and it's still not fixed. Didn't he fix it? The TV, why didn't he fix it, right? Yeah, so I just watch gloomy news. Who's fixing it? Exactly how?
Who stole what? Where?
Yeah, not anyone's. Someone now. Tell you now. They run away from reality and that's why they don't turn it on.
Wait. That's a really good topic.
They don't turn on the TV because they want to escape from reality and hide somewhere in their shell. They're at home in their shell. And they turn off the lights. And I have a neighbor like that. He's a neighbor. He doesn't open his curtains. He lives like a vampire all day. And they lock themselves at home and that's it. Well, it's not simple. Unfortunately, the good things that happen are rarely shown. They rarely show them on TV. And television, let's say, if we break down the word television.
Tell me.
In other words, someone tells you their vision. Someone tells you their vision and tries to impose it on you.
But where is yours? Somewhere back there? It gets left behind somewhere back there?
Yes.
And what does it mean? They run. Explain it. What do you think the phrase someone is running from reality means? Is that even possible?
They try to run, but they can't. They think they've escaped from reality. There is a way it could happen. Reality, it doesn't chase them. It's just there. He thinks it's gone, but actually it's still there. Reality? I don't know.
That's how I see it. So how does it become a different reality for everyone?
How does it become a different reality?
Well, yes, for example, my reality is different from yours, but reality is still there. What do you think about that? We're talking about that, about the term for the people you mentioned. They, by doing this, by talking now, are running away from it. They're not informed. They're not up to date. In the 21st century, they can't even set their watch. Dude, where are you? You're not on TV. You're not following who did what. I don't have a watch. Mine is galactic with 3 wires, not in stealth mode and visible. That's a bit of a paradox because in my opinion, it's on one hand, in our attempt to escape quote-unquote from reality, we find a refuge, convenient, advantageous, comfortable for us. But from another point of view, we are not running away from reality, we are going into another one, and it's a very subtle moment how this happens, to create awareness of both things.
Well, we move with the choices we make. If we make the choice, actually every single choice creates its own reality, right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
In the movie Mr. Nobody, it's shown very well there how this happens, and actually the director says that there's no wrong path. Every path is the right one. It's just that whenever you make a choice, you live your path, but that choice leads to that path. If you had done something else, the other path would have been right too.
Yes, that's it, although I keep thinking about that powerful line which I've watched, well, that scene at least 50 times.
I feel really good.
And every time I get goosebumps and I return to myself and I say to myself, Pasi, that's it. How can this thing be so powerful? Every time it's right, every choice is right. No matter how great the pain we may want to cause ourselves, it still depends on us. And we have that right, and with the greatest happiness too, we still have that right. And everything comes together tonight. 1 point, 1 choice. Only now, for me, from my point of view, it's simply magical. and that there are such movies, there are such directors, there are such people who show it, and there are also conversations like this one where we can, talk about it, share it, but also remind ourselves of it. Because in the fast-paced 21st century, it seems like we jump very quickly from one thing to another. And lately I've been thinking about how to remind people about reminders. In other words, we need to create notifications for the notifications because we forget to remind ourselves about what we can do, what we want, what we choose.
We don't forget many things. Sometimes while scrolling through work or in the things we do, we completely forget where we're headed and what we're doing. At one point you wake up and think, what am I doing? Why did I even do that?
Do you think it's good to ask ourselves these questions every day, or at least some of these questions?
Should we ask these questions every morning and evening? What did we do the previous day? How can we improve today to become a better version of ourselves? Civici, right? As it relates from one thing to another.
Right? It's certain that you smile and say, let's say, that you'll keep it on the other side of your tongue.
Let's see it. No, I'm just curious because you're someone who can say that in your daily life you interact and quite actively deal with what the system offers. What we know as the system, we're the same way no matter how much we work for the other side. Still, in some way I'm speaking both generally and about people because there's still a way to go before we reach a time when we can share goals. Just self-supporting ecosystems. Right now we're in a time when, whether we want to or not, we're forced to interact with certain models that we don't really like. And that's interesting to me. How do you, since you know so many things, how do you approach this? What is your mindset when you do this on a daily basis in your work? I mean, you do your job wonderfully. Everyone around you is happy with what you do. Okay, but what's going on in your head? Well, here is the key moment. You're your own judge,
Your own judge?
Well, yes, I'm my own biggest judge, right? It's a well-known phrase, like what happens in your head, for example. You have quite a bit of information, that the choice itself or something like that, you define your life, you create it every moment. New worlds, you're familiar with the very energy of things, regression, progression, channeling. You've seen quite a few things. I'm saying this because, we're meeting for the first time. We've attended events together where all kinds of stories and things have happened to people. And how do you approach this? With what mindset do you explore it? And you live your daily life when you interact with people who have shared similar experiences with us.
You see yourself in them through their actions, that is. Like a mirror. You see, what you were saying you see the possibility. For example, let's say now you don't like someone, you don't like them. You understand which trait you don't like in them, or more precisely, what is it that annoys you, and you try to work on it in yourself. Because actually, if you don't have it in yourself, you won't see it in him either.
Can you give me an example of something you've seen and fixed, or maybe something you haven't fixed?
Well, for example, my father. He complains a lot. He's a bit dissatisfied with something I've done, and now he's complaining. And I realize I catch myself sometimes that I do it the same way.
And what do you tell yourself at that moment? Isn't it something? I don't tolerate that attitude, but I do it myself.
Well, I do it. Yes, I do it. It annoys me, but I still do it. And in this way, we become better. So, I try not to complain. I try to tell myself, get a grip, look at the situation. And solve the problem without complaining.
Well, that's an interesting point. You, A, are the father of 4 wonderful children. They are unique kids, and every time you talk about them, it's with a lot of love and fun and just pure joy. And how do you see this since, they are at different ages? How do you see it in their development? How do you see it right now? How do you share it when you're with them? How do you think about all these things you notice?
I try to to teach them the things I know, but in such a way to show and teach them that. Thank you. I try to be careful with that because, people look at things like that. And if the child goes to school and says, my father taught me to meditate, for example, yes, well, his parents are students. Maybe some of them will understand him, others won't understand him. You know how cruel children can be sometimes, and it could happen. It's not such a pleasant situation for them. I remember once, it was recently, sometime during the summer. One evening I come home and I say to them, come on now, you come here. We gather in the kids' room and form a small circle. There were balloons at home from some birthday, and I say, now you close your eyes. So, and everyone, let's all wish for the balloon to move. And it turns into a game. Move, move, balloon. Then it starts to move, it starts to move, it starts to move, and they start to believe, they start to close their eyes. Then I walk them here and there with their eyes closed.
It's very, very beautiful and nice that you're sharing this because I didn't say it by accident at the beginning. I mean, in our circle, you're kind of the example when it comes to kids. These are, after all, 4 kids. And there are people who are only just starting to want children. There are those who are parents of 2, 3 children. And I was curious, from your point of view, what would you share as advice for those parents who know that their children have slightly more, let's say, alternative abilities, perspectives, interests, that obviously that the child doesn't have many masks and you can simply see what interests them and what doesn't. But despite that, out of fear, they hold them back, close them off, suppress something in them.
Do you remember when we were little? And there's no way, right? They would always say, oh, but we weren't like that back then. We weren't like you are now. Why are you like this now? Every generation is different from the previous one. My children are 2 by 2, I mean. The first 2, Siana and Edani, are 2 years apart. Then there's a 5-year gap and 2 more, again, one after the other. From the same woman. It's important to say from the same woman. And I really hope that today, if you look at them, you can tell they're mine. And these differences between the different generations are very obvious. Some children learn faster than others. And when we talk about today's children, really today's children, from my point of view.
Today's children, what age does that start?
Well, let's say, see which age. Every age, that is. From the 1st to the 4th, each has its own specifics and differences. And each one of them is special in its own way, at least in my eyes and surely in the eyes of every parent, their child is special. But since you're asking about the differences...
Yeah, from the younger ones, because they are more open.
And we need to help them open up even more. One of them, poor thing. I don't want to go with him, and should I force him to go? Maybe not, there's no need.
And what do you do? What do you tell him?
Well, I say no, I'll tell him, I say, okay, fine, go ahead, yes, you go with him and I'll do something else, but he just doesn't want to.
Yes. There's no point in fighting, pushing, forbidding him from doing things.
To leave him be. No, it's not easy with 4 kids, but it's not hard either, Some people say, man, I can't handle even 1 son. How do you manage with 4? Well, we manage, it's not that scary. Some people fear having children, but currently not having them is disastrous. Why, how, why? Well, our numbers are decreasing, especially Bulgaria is shrinking. Again, we need to raise it a bit to work on it. Of course, it's about the population's birth rate.
Well, yes, it's as funny as it is true. That's the reality because... Anyway... Alright, you said before we started that you have a lot of stories you can share with us. But I'm curious, tell me something from your past, from Onelia Dancho, who doesn't exist anymore. What was life like back then? What did you think? Did you think about a perfect life, about an ideal? What were you striving for? What were you doing? Some interesting situation that you will never forget? Now you look at it and laugh, but back then it was scary.
Now I have to think to remember such a situation, but overall back then I didn't really think much about tomorrow. You know, you go out to clubs, you drink alcohol. You do all kinds of things. You don't think really, you just don't think about life.
But I'm asking him because right now there are people like that. They're even younger than me, 5, 6, 7 years younger. And they're doing the same thing. They're different kids, but still, they're doing the same thing. Not all of them, let's not put everyone under the same label, but there are a lot of such kids, I mean. And that's why I'm asking you.
I've gotten really deep into the matrix,
What does that mean, I mean?
They're more interested in material things, more in what they're wearing, what kind of phone they have. They look at you based on some kind of status, just so people see them better. To have a more expensive car and a nicer phone, and that's all they care about. Maybe no one has shown them, someone needs to show them. Alternative.
And why should they choose this alternative?
If it's your style, Mom, here I am. I'm an easy alternative for you.
Here's an alternative for you.
Mom, and one day you'll be gone. And what kind of person will you become? Maybe a burden.
What a mess.
What will I turn into? Into ruin. Whole. To sit on the couch and watch TV or to create something.
To watch someone else's vision.
To be a creator, to choose the better option.
I can add something. Now that I'm here with you, I think I'll tell you, you should include it, since you were talking about the reality of information, also what the word information actually means. It's in form. Practically, it's in the form and in whatever information. When you choose to inform yourself, you acquire that form, you literally become what you choose to inform yourself with.
Well, yes, what Variato said, vadeto, hints at the essence of information. If we look closely at the word information, it's in the form of the life energy that I am. However, we end up and choose again which form to be in which format, and
if we choose to return to the form of what they show us, an oil which makes you want to go to nightclubs.
Yes, you have to look a certain way.
So you end up becoming like that. And if you choose to take the form of a conscious person, who really makes choices and doesn't just go with the flow?
I told you, in my opinion, those people also know the meaning. I've been on this path for quite some time now, but you know what? Maybe you know what it is. Maybe deep down you realize very well that you have to go through quite a few catharsis, tough moments. You have to go through them, and you realize it deep inside. And you tell yourself, maybe it's better to stay where I am and not go there, because if I go, I won't come back here. Now, I also wanted to say that it seems like we're afraid of ourselves, of what we're capable of. And, well, at what cost? Are we ready to pay that price?
Someone is not ready to pay it. Sometimes the price is too high.
We have embarked on all of this with a single purpose: to discover ourselves for ourselves and for everything that is, as we explore the many realities. If you wish to support both INRA and everything that the team and I are doing, you can support us on Patreon, PayPal, or become a member of the Pokloni channel. Thank you for giving us the reason to continue creating consciously and together. But I agree, it isn't always like that, because yes, both of us have been through a lot, but from a different point of view. If you ask me, has it all been worth it so far? Yes, it has been worth it. I wouldn't give it up or take it back for anything. No, I never regret it. So then, was the price I paid too high? No.
People see it as too high. So when you have to go through this catharsis, for example, and you say to yourself, from the perspective of not having gone through it yet, it seems to you that the price is too high. But when you go through it, when you cross to the other side, it's exactly what you say. If I had to go through it again, I would, just to get here.
That's a real paradox, man, because I was just thinking about all those people since I've been in those circles when I was younger, 17, 18, 19 years old. Not that I'm much older.
Yeah, Bravi, you're all grown up. It's just...
I know it very well, that feeling that young guys have, even though now they're different and most of them actually pretend to be something they're not, you know, either to impress a girl or to act tougher in the group. You may not have 5 lever in your pocket, but you still wear that Armani shirt. And the question here is, do you think this thing will somehow be cured? Will it end? Will it transform? Or are we still not mature enough for this? Because there is a solution, there is information, you know, more or less. I can throw up my hands and say, here it is, it's all on the table, we have a lot of information, and our work, our effort, the work we do and live with every day, it is dedicated to this, it is dedicated to this, for a person to change.
They will only heal if they want to. You, if they don't want to, there's no way you can do it by force. There's no way you can force someone and say, come here and change. You become someone else. You become better. It generally sounds like this, better.
Yeah, right, yeah, I don't know. I'm saying this as someone from the perspective of someone who's been through something like this, and I understand this transition. I understand that what I wanted to tell you from Deva as well, but didn't get to, is that we are very aware that once you take this path, at least in the beginning, it's quite lonely. And maybe that scared you, because that's just how it is. It couldn't really be otherwise. It's normal for you to feel that way, even if you create a bit of an illusory isolation for yourself, more or less, to pay attention to yourself in a way you never have before. And that isolates and excludes a lot of people around you, because they say, what the hell is going on? They disappear?
They disappear, and they're friends. They ask, what's wrong with you? Are you sick or something, since you've lost weight?
Yeah, a lot. Why aren't you eating? You do eat, right?
You're like a machine, you're done. Look how good you used to look before.
Yeah, sweet rosy cheeks.
And when I stopped drinking, and since you're sick, You must be taking some pills now, and that's why you don't want to drink alcohol. You're overcoming it.
Yes, did such changes happen to you? Since you got acquainted with the knowledge, can you talk about it in a bit more detail? Did people vanish from your reality?
Yes, people disappeared from my reality, from anyone's reality. Maybe I am the one who disappeared. You know what happens. Very interesting, thank you. When you start walking this path, and little by little you find people who are also walking it. You see someone after many years and notice he has lost a lot of weight. You see another, you don't see a third, he's training, a fourth. You meet the fourth at an event where you didn't expect to see him. And sometimes, however, it's like the environment is trying to pull you back in again.
What does that mean, in? It means
That you get some temptations again to check. Jabba.
yeah.
Jabba, have you really left? Have you gotten on the other train, or do you actually want to go back to the old one with you?
What was one of those temptations?
One of those temptations, for example, was...
So, what did you tell yourself that you chose, and what was the temptation that said to you, do you really want it?
Well, I said it, alcohol, yes. Social gatherings, yes, they pour you a drink, or I eat more sweets, and you've decided, yes, tell me, and I say I eat more sweets. They give you such temptations. For others, it's probably different, and there are other things too.
Yes, the point is, in the end, to develop that self-awareness, so when the challenge comes, you can say, well, I've dedicated myself and decided to choose this now and to explore it, and I'll stick to it. How do you think someone becomes responsible for their choice?
With stubbornness, persistence, requests, or with willpower. Some people call it one thing, others call it willpower.
So, the positive side of stubbornness is willpower?
Absolutely, stubbornness turned positively as willpower. And I am Kalesh, it's Kalesha. Little by little, it doesn't happen all at once.
It's very, very specific because, for example, we've had a few meetings and it's always me. What stays with me after that is, for example, yes, that there are 4 people sorry that it comes with such a label. Probably other people tell you the same thing, like you said, how do they manage? Well, with 4, I can't even handle one, but, people don't know this about you, but in reality, you never stop working, I think. You don't say that, but it's good to mention it, not as bragging, but from the point of view that to be the person you are and to breathe the air you breathe, in the end, you literally never stop. Here, we can give an example right now. You live around the Varna area. Right now we're in Plovdiv and it's about 7:30 in the evening.
Yeah, I got up a bit earlier, finished some tasks.
What does a bit earlier mean?
There's even 5 o'clock.
Let's say 5 o'clock. No, this is important. It's in the room.
Because at 5 in the morning, you take the kids like this, you take them to school, but this is what you do to me. This is what you do to me. It's a pleasure to take them to school, even though they're, let's say, older. For me, it's a pleasure to hold their hand and take them to school, into the yard. I've come here. It will happen that she's coming home tonight. You probably will too for the 6th time, yes, but when she comes back, and you too when they're awake. On my back, and you, all of you on my back, you all. One climbs on my back and wants a piggyback ride. The other climbs on my back and wants a piggyback ride. And you at home, you end up being a horse for 3 people. For the heirs from the other one, yeah.
No, because look, what now? Today, for example, what have you done? You got up at who knows what hour.
That I am, yes.
You've traveled, you've reviewed the tasks for the day. Right? And what else have you done in the end to get to us? I'm speaking generally. And for you, this is a daily routine. And now, in this case, it turns out to be participation, right? In this case, an activity that's a bit different, but you have other trips too.
I'm constantly traveling. Actually, lately I've been traveling a lot. Well, last weekend I was at an event in Schumann. I finished work at 5 o'clock, started up the motorcycle. Yeah, put on my motorcycle suit, a small backpack, my luggage, and off to Schumann for 2 days. We had some tasks there. The event was then and until around noon on Sunday, but on the way back while I was coming home. It was raining, at one point it was raining, and when you're on a motorcycle, it's more dangerous when it rains, and it's not very pleasant to get caught in the rain either.
But
Yeah, and I was getting home again around 10 or 11 o'clock on Sunday. The kids aren't asleep. I came back, they want to play, we start running, playing, we're playing at home at 11 o'clock at night.
and that gives you energy.
They energize you. They energize you, giving you strength for others, and someone else energizes them. The children want attention. Sometimes I can't always give them the attention they want.
Do you think that's something you'd like to change in the future? To adjust in this way to make it so that, yes, you give them a little more attention?
Well, of course, some things need to change. I'm even making such changes right now so that I can have more time for the kids. They need attention. To pick them up, to take them somewhere for a walk, to play with them for a bit. And then you catch them by the hand.
That's very sweet, very powerful.
It's like a message.
Because it's an invitation, one that you extend not only to yourself, but to everyone who finds themselves in what you're saying. Because I claim that our audience, we are people who think and act, who search and get involved, find a way to engage. And they find themselves in what you're saying, in part of what I'm sharing. And let this be an invitation for people who are like that to find more time for the things that really give them more meaning and encourage them to become better people. Because that exists too. We miss moments that, can't ever be repeated in exactly the same way at that specific time. And you know that very well.
They grow up and there's no way to go back. At some point you want to give him a piggyback ride, for example. But she's already in 6th or 7th grade. There have been times when you come home from work, you're tired, or you finished something else, let's say it wasn't work. And he says, I want a piggyback ride. And you say, wait a bit, let me rest a little. And after a while, he comes back again, still asking for a piggyback ride. Now I'm watching a movie, let me finish the movie. And so, actually, you miss those moments. And that's why later you make yourself another child and then another one, to make up for those moments. And that's just a joke, yes.
Of course.
The truth is, I have to pay attention to the kids no matter whether the parents are together or not.
When they see this, and even later, because everything leaves a mark, what would you like to indirectly tell them, something that they know comes from you?
To believe and not give up. Short, simple, and clear. To believe and not give up. To believe in the strength they have because they can change everything if they just want it.
Because as long as, when Right. In this case, we know each other. Now, if you go on some show, there's even a chance that later you'll get that. But there's that moment that the situation itself is like that. Karada, yes, right? And that's how the format is. We've chosen it on purpose, where it's quiet, it's a bit closer to the old show. We were farther apart, in some comfortable armchairs, so everyone could defend themselves. Here the idea is not to have any defense. Why should I defend myself? Defense, pure source.
Yes.
And
I write it there on
the book, yes, right, and so on. The interesting thing is that here, more or less, by the way, in this section, everyone says it in one way or another, and whatever you start with, I'm sure you can find it. Here, Rumi says it, Rumi's book, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are in the ocean. And how was it?
You are not a drop in the ocean.
You are the ocean.
You are a drop that contains the whole ocean.
Yes, containing the whole ocean. The foundation, right? Isaac Asimov.
You are the whole ocean in a drop.
You are the whole ocean in a drop. Yes, the knights there sang, right? The guardians of the Holy Grail, Grail, the Holy Grail. It's basically the same story, Grail. Our overarching story, you are the source. Even Peyo Yavorov, with his poetry, reaches and brings in that power of the source. Obi, there is no element, forget the books. There is none. There is no way for this energy and this potential to come out of us. We are the ones who create nights for ourselves. This is my firm opinion because that's how it is. I see it in people who have amazing experiences and want others to try them, that this thing has not happened.
I'd like to hear you talk about it. The first moment before you start meditating, for example, before the first time you meditate, what do you think about meditation, about regression, about those things and about these things when you actually start doing them? What was your first experience like, and what did you learn from these things afterwards? I mean, just like you described regression so well at the beginning. We just didn't reach the final idea. Personally, for me, it was cut off. I mean, I missed actually hearing what was, the end, the final story. And besides that, before that, how did you look at these things? I mean, how strange was it for you to hear about them? For example, at the first seminar you attended, to hear that everything is a hologram.
And what? Things like that. Shocking things.
That's it. Those are shocking things for people and everything. Energy and look, it's energy.
You're
a practical person, meaning you work in business. You said this, we talk about aliens, about energy, about spirits, and that's not it. They are two different universes. I mean, that's why it's very interesting to me.
It's interesting, but at the same time, it's a little strange that I wasn't shocked by those things. I wasn't shocked to find out that we are a hologram. I wasn't shocked to find out that there are aliens, a galactic federation.
That feels somehow familiar, pleasant, and logical to you.
He doesn't know why, yes, and yet...
Do you look for an explanation for yourself?
I'm looking for the explanation because it's not shocking to me, but I still can't find it. I'm sure a lot of people have done this when we were kids, to stand in front of the mirror and to ask yourself who you are. The mirror, to ask who you are. No, right? So, who am I and what am I doing here? Yes, you still ask yourself those. Yes, I still ask myself those questions. And if we don't ask them, actually, will we move forward? So we have to ask ourselves the question, who am I? What am I doing here? And why am I here? What do I have to accomplish? I still have many tasks.
And how are you? Are you okay? You weren't surprised, but how do you explain all this, the whole thing? The point is that, for example, here you have successful regressions, if we can put it that way. So how do you connect this with everything else, right? For example, channeling, meditation, déjà vu, dreams. Many people dream, interpret them, receive messages, but don't pay attention to them. Others think that this is going to happen and it's already decided. You somehow accept it as normal, which makes me happy, but. How come and it can't just not be there? Here's the story about a few regressions, but other experiences like that around this thing that have startled you at least for a moment until you realize what's going on.
Dieza, are you she or are we shaping it now?
No, because for some people it is triggered by regression, others start seeing the colors of auras, and others, through dreams, dream very, very clearly.
Sometimes it's very clear, sometimes it's not.
And others, yes, have open channeling, and others have the classic one.
You know, I would be happy if I had open channeling, but I haven't experienced that yet.
And what have you experienced? That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about. Everyone follows their own development. There's no place for judgment or, of course, criticism or comparison. Rather, what have you seen on your path so far with what you've explored that works, and you can say, look, if I forgive this, this is it for me, this works.
For me, it works. What I said a little while ago, that yes, to pull yourself together and to say, I am changing. And yes, to make the choice to change your actions and then to shift into another parallel reality. Which doesn't happen with meditation. It happens with effort, with actions, with hard work, through action and hard work.
And you are in sync in that hard work, in peace. You're okay with it, you push every day, and you're at it for even 12 hours straight, and the question is here, yes, and more, the question is here. At one point, does this bring you that pleasure, or are you doing it just because you know that's the way for you to develop and it works? Yeah, but is it pleasure, or does it turn into something else?
Well, at some point it starts to burn you out, you start to block, you start looking for a place to relax, to recover, because it's just too much effort. You've devoted yourself to work. In some cases, you forget about the things you wanted to do. You forget about your hobbies, you forget about what you want to explore, you forget to ask yourself the question, who am I?
But how? We create the habit of reminding ourselves of it more often. How is it for you? How do you remind yourself? For example, when you start to slip a little, what brings you back? Here is my little hook. I can tell you some of mine, but if you want, you can say that you encounter it right away.
Go ahead, tell me your hooks.
One of my hooks is the movie Interstellar. It just gets me. Its melody takes me away from Earth, out of the city, out of the village, the country, the galaxy, and I go to another world. One thing that does that for me is the movie The Lion King. Because it's a story about everything. There's nothing missing. There's friendship, love, betrayal, pain, death, hatred, anger, love, rise, rebirth, kingdom in this movie.
And how many people watch movies the way you do, the way I do?
Well, I have no idea, but in my opinion, everyone has something like that. Everyone has a favorite memory. Here, I'll give you a lot. I can share something with you. Last year, we had discussions with Valya because she needed to find those little hooks for herself. She hadn't thought about it before and would, for example, fall into a certain emotional state. And she had found, for example, the solution for how to get out of it, through writing, meditation, speaking openly, sharing, right? But not that moment, not that little hook that will activate that other state in you, that will make you change, because that's different. You just enter another state. For me, for example, the song by Ed Sheeran, Castle on the Hill, As strange as it may sound, back in the day I had a favorite cartoon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Its music, the opening, the intro music, it gets me into that state because it's simply a story between two worlds. A pharaoh who is searching for his name and a boy who is putting together the pieces of a puzzle. A very powerful story. You know, these are things from my surroundings that have made me the person I am today. But what about you? Which one? We found that it's a very clear and very strong hook.
One song, which song? One that hasn't been released to the public but is well written.
One sings something else. There was one more thing we had found, a children's one.
The children's movies. In general, for me, if you put on children's movies, for me, it's like...
The children's movies, yes.
And if you play me animation, I just lose it. I mean, I immediately get super happy. There's no such pure state.
See, do you ever think about it? Yes.
So maybe overall music and movies don't influence in that way because, like you said to your TV person,
I won't. This is a path, and here already, a time in which I do it.
And the elements like water, the water and the fire, you know, for me, that's what they are. For example, to get under the shower, or sometimes when I don't have time, just to go to the sink and wash myself for about 2 minutes like that. And I come out a new person. I mean, of course, with the intention of what it is.
Yeah.
With that intention, yes.
Water purifies to purify you?
It just works wonders, and the fire for me, which calms me down. So I just light a candle. If it ends up in my hands and I look at it for a minute, I shut everything off and can switch instantly, no problem. But the fire is still intense. This.
Yes, I'm really glad we mentioned this because it reminded me of how important it is to recognize our hooks as such, and then, when necessary,
we simply put our hook away.
To take it out of our pocket, to take out this card and play it because it is our right, and in this way you return to that creative energy and inspiration that you always have. And accordingly, the motivation to keep doing, to keep working, or to continue what you have started.
It's like a little hook. I get it. That's how it was. To start your car and just drive without a destination, just going around.
But in that setting, you can hear your turn signals.
You hear your car's turn signals, then you stop somewhere, you stop and play some music. Many times I've played some music, leaned back in the seat, and then at some point I look at the clock, an hour has passed and I don't even know how it went by. Sometimes I've relaxed all the way down, even fallen asleep with the music playing in the car. Another thing that has helped me, as Valleto said, is taking a hot shower.
Steaming yourself properly is another matter.
It's not just about steaming yourself. Another thing is to close your eyes. To call out, to summon a little love, to summon light, to summon strength that will help you deal with the things you need to. You need to give yourself love the next day or the day after, to call out love that you can give to your children, to give what you have gained to your loved ones. It works.
What is valuable is that just to have it at hand and to be able to use it when needed. And we ourselves notice that we're straying or have gotten distracted for a moment. It's very valuable when you have such a person next to you who can do that. Of course, that's real happiness, but yes, it's very interesting. What about you? When you listen to music like that, do you have a song that brings something out in you? And you say, just play it for me so I can open my soul.
I'll soak it in. Yes.
Yes.
Wow, those are 2 songs you said aren't by Ed Sheeran, so Ed Sheeran is at home and you'll be one.
Sheeran, yes. I mean, Ed Sheeran, yes. Say hi to Ed Sheeran. Subscribe to his channel.
He doesn't need your support.
Subscribe. Sheeran is great. I, Photographer, Castle on the Hill, and Mother, Bloodstream are his songs. And this one, Happier, Toto. Amazing guy. That's exactly what he did. In my opinion, that's an example and a manifestation in this whole matrix of fame, of Hollywood, and of celebrities, where it's just to show that one person with a guitar is enough, he's enough, that's the point.
Yes.
Fills arenas and stadiums, so many people, he warms them, he doesn't just gather them together, because at his concerts there are always engagements and marriage proposals, that's always the case. That's unique, really cool.
Okay, but what do you call it? How do you summon this energy, for the people?
Come on, tell me.
You say, I call it from the heart. It's like walking. I take the kids here and there. Tell me how you do these things.
Ha 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 ha! Because with me, if you could be as easy as Liardna with Brene, you wouldn't be ha ha ha!
Yes,
Don't you want to talk?
that's right.
If that's what he says, then that's how it is. That's how the dice are thrown.
You turn on the hot water like this. You close your eyes, you can look up or not.
Okay, now your eyes are closed.
Your eyes are closed in the shower, you turn on the hot water, and you imagine a ray of light entering through your head, which in one case is all the love, then in the other case you purify it. You purify the same ray. And you feel how it passes through your whole body, through your arms, and goes out through your legs. At least that's how I feel it.
And you thank it.
And you thank it. Subscribe then. Bye. I froze for a moment. I thought it was love.
Wisdom.
Yeah, love. Bye. We just blocked each other.
Here, this is an example of how it actually happens to let it all out and break through the blocks, to hack your brain, to get out of it, because you're simply influencing it. In a flow where there is no logic, no filters, none of our logic, where it wants to gather and reason here and there, but that doesn't exist. You just freeze up because the brain tries to catch up, but it doesn't work.
Yes, sorry, it tries to catch up, but no.
No, sorry.
You get flustered over nothing, and that's why you freeze.
That's right. Look, those experiences, they don't fulfill you. I'm very glad that the time has come when we can freely talk about all of this. Because yes, everyone can say what they do, how they see things, how they experience them on a daily basis. Because in the past, this wasn't possible in this way, but now it is. The very fact that it's happening as an event means that people themselves want it. And this is like a more collective choice, which is unique. If it's happening, it's necessary. If it's necessary, it's happening.
More things like this need to happen to people. People shouldn't be afraid to share their experiences with others. There's nothing on a spiritual level, so to speak, a spiritual level to understand it. More viewers to understand it. But
For Debco, it's all on the same wavelength, and that's where you'd want to go deeper. You say to yourself, there's still more to do here.
there's still more in meditation and regression. To be able to truly interpret it, to interpret it fully, to get all the information out of it that can be useful for this incarnation of yours. All of this happens through experience and trial, with practice, by doing. Meditation. And in the same way, to be able to see even deeper and even deeper and even deeper, you still won't be sure. Channeling.
Here, again, it's a kind of meditation, it's not something else. I had said this to people in the channeling session as well. It's just that, in my opinion, we shouldn't categorize them so much from the perspective of separation, because that way we put really big artificial boundaries on ourselves. Because for you to enter a deeper meditation, you know, what is considered real meditation, well, you still go through a kind of channeling, through a kind of channel. You go through some sort of tunnel, yes, through space.
Actually, from a broader perspective, meditation is far broader than channeling and much more difficult.
Much more difficult. Channeling is easier. Yes, in my view, yes, because channeling is a focused channel, input, output, transmitter. That's basically it. And in meditation, you can reach everything, the whole. With channeling, you can too, but it's different, it's specific. It's more for a limited amount of information, limited transmission, broadcasting, you know, that's how I feel it, that's how I understand it, that's how I can tell you. Words come to me in English because for me it comes in English, as strange as it is. I just don't have the barriers in that language that I apparently have in Bulgarian. To avoid distortion or twisting, I take them as they come, as they feel right to me. They come in English. For someone else, it could be in Bulgarian or Chinese, it doesn't matter at all. The point is that right? That's from my point of view, but for me, here you are already, I can say, a seeker. Because you keep showing up, searching, asking yourself these questions every day, which is the most important thing. How far you'll get, does it matter? What's important is not to stop. However, the other day I did a month, there's a show where I put a lot areas of research. Things like holotropic breathing, astral travel, card reading, tarot, astrology, crystals, working with crystals, and all kinds of things like that. But for me, it's really more important to try to understand the foundation of things. As I told you in the beginning, I think it's important to have that, something to return to, a reminder of the reminder, to go where we normally wouldn't be willing to go. And from there on, once we have something to return to, something to remind ourselves of who we are, why we are, what we are, where we are, when we are, from there on, then it's called free-willed. And that's why being involved with this part of creation is what personally inspires me. Does that mean it has to be a journey? No, here's the thing.
Everyone chooses it however it feels right to them.
Is there something you want to say from the bottom of your heart and soul, something you haven't said until now that you want to be recorded in this show? As it's understood, let it be, of course, let this wisdom come from you.
I haven't thought of anything like that.
If something comes to mind, just say it. Whatever comes to you. Without logic.
Be yourself. Just be yourself.
There's no need. Be my friend and companion by surname. Yordan Valkov, my friend, thank you very much for this. An open, genuine conversation with many messages for many people. I also hope maybe it's for no one. For us in 10 years, who will watch it and burst out laughing? For now, it might be useful for someone. Thank you for making the effort to come from Varna so that this can reach many people and to show our true selves. That all of us are ordinary people who have just broadened our perspective a little and have a desire for a different and more harmonious world.
I thank you as well.
Thank you very much, really. Thank you.
And at least get the conversation started that we need to be honest, that we really do. And what happens? Well, I decided to show how it should be what happened. We chose to demonstrate honesty.
Thank you for that.
And actually, I had started taking drugs. I had started taking drugs and nobody knew and nobody found out. That's how it was. That's how I was hiding it. At one point, you do it so that, let's say, to have a better time at the party the next moment you do it, because you think you'll have more energy, you'll work more, and you'll be more focused. Yeah, you have that kind of movie, High Tension. Do you remember it? What is it? Yeah.
Of course.
And you take from that so you can be more focused. However, at some point you start to realize that you begin to, as they say, you start to get hooked. You start to get hooked, and life brings you together with similar people. So what are you?
You'll start then.
You start seeing people who you didn't know.
That you never suspected.
You never suspected, yes, more precisely, yes, exactly. You never suspected that this person was using drugs. And then it turns out there are others, a second, a third, and a fifth.
Why was it hard for you to say this?
Well, people get embarrassed about what, when I say people worry, more precisely, I'm the one who's worried. That's the paradox. I worry about what someone I know will think. What will someone from my family think? What will even the kids think if they see this? But actually, the upside is that whoever sees it will understand that there is actually a way out. It is.
That's because nowadays we reach so many people, and who knows what percentage use drugs.
Use drugs.
And the very fact that you can stand up and say it, from your current perspective, which is different, you are no longer that person.
You are not that person.
That's unique, and thank you for coming back to it, because we'd stopped recording, right, just so you could say it. Because if we want an honest world, an open world, honest communication, it's really right to be honest with each other. And thank you for saying it, because that's something that right now, because of what you just said, it might happen that someone says, hey, what am I doing really? What am I doing? Is it maybe time for me to open up, to admit, to say something, to seek help?
To say and to... If they do this thing, you will understand. Actually, there is also a small upside that I have realized for myself.
Yes.
And that right now, if my kids are someone I don't want to take that step, if they start taking it, I will immediately find out. That's how I see it. I take it as a plus. So a person who uses drugs can't hide from me that they're using.
All right, anything else?
I've seen people ruin their lives because of drugs. An acquaintance of mine had a good position at his job. He had a family with kids. Like H cold on drugs, on gambling, and burned everything, absolutely everything. But he realized, he came to his senses, and he realized it, and now I see him. Yes, he even ruined it. Everything is over. He even ruined it. So, here I am now, chosen a parallel reality without drugs, and I see how the people around me who used to take them have healed.
How long is that, more or less, as a time period?
3 years. Okay, 3 or 4 roughly.
Like 2 years passed there, two passed quickly. Because honestly, we don't realize, man, how many people through a format like the one we're in right now, and other colleagues and people who are watching can really have, yes, influence. I mean, look, you come to visit us and you see, it's one thing here, look, we're just talking completely normal. But as always, This thing then gets imprinted in your mind, it stays, and 3 months go by, 10 months go by, 2 years go by. It's just one click away, you play it, and you never know what kind of impact it has. It could be nothing, or it could be huge.
I hope that right now, a lot of people actually realize, recognize themselves in me, and take action. The right step, make the right choice.
Whoever is
Who? For such people, there's no point in drugs. You can have the strength you think drugs give you, you can get from other things to replace them.
who should we be precise with in the end?
Tunava is being sought. Subscribe. Just to be a seeker, yes, to develop myself for the better. Sometimes it's imperceptible. That is, you just take it to have fun, to have a better time that night. Next time, to have a better time again. And that's how they work. The next moment you think you'll be better at your job.
Thanks for sharing that, really. It will show why it had to happen at that exact moment. Anyway, I'm sure there will be people who will share in the comments, and later on maybe we'll meet some of them at the next events because they keep coming all the time. People watching and newcomers discovering what we're doing. So thank you very much for participating, for coming again, because that means you also made this choice. The searching, the exploring of reality, which is also a direction in life from another point of view. Friends, thank you once again.
Thank you.